Today we are going to do these parts that we were missing yesterday. First of all, I'm going to do this one. In this portion, I'm going to use phthalo green and the lighter shade of green. So for the dark shade, I would be using phthalo green, and for the light highlights, I would be using a light shade of green. So basically, I'm doing the base first. It's an oval shaped circular plate, you can say. And yesterday I forgot to do this part. Today I'm going to demonstrate how we are going to do it. So first of all, I'm just applying this solo phthalo green color in the base. Then with some highlights to this plate, showing the light effect, I'm going to use a lighter tone to this shade. Same family. So apply the base with phthalo green. Now I'm going to do some touch-ups. You can also wait for the color to get dried. Then you can just do some highlights with the same family light tone. So while it's getting dried, I'm switching myself to this portion, because then we are going to do the calligraphy part here. And for that reason, I need to have a dry base. So I'll let it leave over here, and I'm switching to this portion of the painting. So as you guys already know that I have masked the darkness of this dark base with white color first, in order to mask this blackness and keeping the originality of the colors that I am going to apply after layer, in order to keep intact the richness and the color values of the color, so that the colors don't get altered due to the dark background. We always have to uplift those colors using the lightest tone, which is white, of course. Bottom there is a little curve on this architectural part, so I'm going to give a highlight to that as well, and we'll create a black background. You guys will see, and create a line demarcation encircling this central part. So here in this circular portion, we have certain areas in which light reflections are very intense. So we are going to leave those portions with solo white color that we have applied in the base. We won't decolorize those parts with some other colors like yellow, light yellow, orange, yellow orange, burnt sienna, the colors that we have previously used in this palette, on this palette. So we are going to leave those spaces as solo white color, and we are not going to alter the light effects, the reflections on this metallic part. I hope the circle is okay because I am just working on my calculations, and it is not an accurate calculated measured work, just for the demonstration and learning purpose. But the kitchen tools would really help you to get this shape. Bird eye view is very important. When you are done with an architectural drawing part or anything, you should move back and see if you have measured each and everything correctly. Everything is nice and in proper manner, nice and line. It's very important to note all of this detail. Otherwise, there would be a drawing flaw. If you guys cannot see, you can come over here. Maybe you will be able to see, because right now I'm just bending on right on the top of this painting, so you might not get the view because I'm right-handed and this side I'm working on. Okay, so let this part get right. And let me check this. Yeah, it's clear. So let me get back to this portion again. There is a line, there is a boundary, and circling this part. So what I'm going to do, same again, I'm going to make this boundary, this line with the white color. These brush spills that you can see right here, right now, these can be altered by doing what? We can use the detailing brush and we can use the colors of the base. Base colors, what are the base colors here? Phthalo green and light green. And we can just mask those extra brush spills that we see over here, to give a nice and clean look, the neat look. Usually we do this on the calligraphy too as well. So when it gets right, you'll be easily able to do all the cleaning parts. You can also use the tip of the brush. It doesn't matter how thick the brush is. If you have diluted the pigment and you are using the tip of the brush, that will really help you in doing the detail work. But I am right now preferring a thin size brush. I hope that it works for me. sure about this part of the bracket, but it's still, it's not the fair work, just for the learning. Now you'll get this idea that what I did right here, right now, just took all these base colors, which are yellow green and green, mix them with a little bit black, and here I have clean all the unnecessary brush spills, making it look like a bit neat. So we have calligraphy here as well, and for that purpose we are going to mask first the dark base colors. You can also do the abstract work. Doesn't have to be necessarily exact. Because in most of the paintings, if you are working on a smaller panel, then it is mostly abstract. If you have seen the oil impressionism paintings, they just give the slight details. They do not go into depth. Just the impression. It's the impression of things. Because sometimes it also happens that sometimes we are very more into the detailing work, then sometimes we end up with a very amateur work. So the more you are into the detailing, it is very likely that you end up with an amateur sort of work. So it is preferable that you end up with something mix of realism and impressionism, and will make your art look like art, not print or photography or anything. Art should look like the artwork, and I think it will also help you in exploring a lot of things regarding the who's roaming around. Acha. So I'm just doing it with the brush right now, the calligraphy portion. You can trace it with the white pencil first, then you can go for it. Since you guys are seeing that there are certain cracks in this calligraphic work, because why? Because I haven't diluted the white color here. If you will use a diluted color, then you'll avoid cracking. Otherwise, with the brush stroke, there are always cracks in the paint. And filling those cracks, you might end up with a lot of errors and mistakes. So it is preferable that you use the diluted first layer, and then you can recoat it with a dense amount of color, as a second layer. I don't know what happens with the oil medium, but here the acrylics happens this way. For this calligraphic work, you can also go for acrylic paints with a small nib size. So if you have white acrylic paint marker, it would be really convenient for you to do all this minute detailing of the calligraphic work over here, especially. And lastly, finishing move. What would it be? Because you already have done these rods. Supposingly, assume that I have already done the rods beside all this part. So, in order to give prominence and standing this part out, what I will do, just take some black pigment, dilute it with little amount of water. Will soak it on the extra on the tissue paper or anything that we are using, and we'll give a boundary to this part. Light boundary. We'll use little amount of water again, dry brush, and then we'll spread this in the background. So this part will, once it's dry, it will stand out. It will be separated from the grill portion. Not the dense black color, very diluted color, just to give some boundary to this green plate. Separate it from the things that are behind it. And to produce some spice to this part of the plate, you can go for the light tone, where you need some light. You can add some touch-ups to those portions. calligraphy portion, again we are going to use the same color palette that we have used here. Those who prefer the olive color, they can mix the Van Dyke brown along with yellow, and to give it a darker appearance you can also add black to it, and to lighten it you will use white, the same shade. And those who prefer yellow orangish sort of look would go for burnt sienna, combination of burnt sienna with yellow, orange yellow. And for the intensity you can also use orange. You don't have to necessarily swipe the brush and clean it. Just use the same brush and leave some portions white as well. While I am masking the white calligraphy part with these colors on the top of them, I leave some of the portions white in order to show the reflections. And if you see that you have masked all of the white portions, then wait for the colors to get dried. Then you can unmask the white color using the same color palette, from the color palette picking white. And highlight those areas. Here in this portion you guys can see that I totally restricted myself to just the impression, because I don't want to go into that depth, and since the area is very small to work on, I don't do much efforts. Just the impression. So most of the times in our paintings we just give some depth and just the minimalistic sort of impression only. We don't focus on things being very vivid and very prominent. We miss out on a lot of details intentionally. In order to save our time and in order to make your painting look mature. Too much of the details addition will also leave you with an immature painting, and the final outcome would not be as per your expectations. So most of the time it is preferred that you go with the impressionism and realism. Some parts of the painting should contain realism, while the other parts it should contain just the impression. If you have seen artist, modern day artist, international artist, what their paintings contain is a mix of the details as well as the impressions. Just a view of something, impression, right? Because if you are adding a lot of details, then it is very necessary for you to be a pro artist, and it will take a lot of years to become a professional artist. So we have to do this smart work. So finally, wherever I will be feeling like I should add some highlight, I will use solo white color in order to give some light effects on this calligraphic portion. Okay, coming to this part, I'm done with this portion of the calligraphy. Now here in this part, you guys can see that the bottom of this part is mostly black Van Dyke brown. You can consider this part as the shadows part. This part is basically comprising of the dark shadows, and some parts here as well are comprising darkness, the shadows. While it's a gradation, means from dark to light, transition. So in this whole globe, you will see that there's a transition of the colors from dark to light, or from light to dark. So I'm going to do this over here. I'm just drawing the outer portion of it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take these portions, I'm going to take a mix of Van Dyke brown, not the intense color, however, mix of Van Dyke brown and black, these parts specifically, and the diluted colors, of course. Then using the same brush, I will go from dark to light. So what I am going to do is, here I will switch to Van Dyke brown, burnt umber. From here, I'm going to switch to orange and orange yellow. Okay, so in this part of the portion, I would create a border encircling this small piece of architectural work with Van Dyke brown and black. To give it a boundary. While this part, the central part, will contain yellow tones. So there is a color gradation from dark to light. Dark tones were black and Van Dyke brown. Then I switched myself to burnt umber and burnt sienna. Then to orange yellow. and yellow and orange, and finally to the lightest tone, which is yellow and white. As I mentioned earlier, there are some portions here that have predominantly a dark image, so shadow. So for that reason, I'm going to use black and Van Dyke brown. You see that you have applied an overwhelming, very noisy, sharp black color. You can wipe it using the towel and then you can apply. I would leave some portions as white here, won't apply any other color on those portions. They are showing the light and shadows effect specifically in this part. You can add black wherever you feel like introducing a tense and shadowy, dark shadowy look, and you can wait that. Because if you will apply the light tones here right now, then it would mask the shadowy effect that you have produced here, and it won't look good. So you have to wait a little, then you can do some highlights with the light tones. I'm getting prepared this area, this portion. Just the light brush strokes were of color dilution of Van Dyke brown and black on this brush. Light touch-ups only. Applying orange to increase the intensity, and wherever I feel like to tone things down, I would use white along with the light tones, which is white on yellow on the palette. We can also add word chain along with yellow, orange and yellow. Some portions, as I mentioned earlier, I will leave them as white. Or just the light yellow. can mask the unnecessary colors, lines, using just the white color. Here in this part is a little light reflection, so I'm just masking the base color that I have applied using white. Giving this portion of the this architectural circle glow, I'm using white to give a boundary and separate it from the outermost circular glow. I'm giving a boundary to it using white tone. Now we have here some triangular shaped it's a row that's falling. So I think I would go for just directly some shapes, triangular shapes using the brush. little screw on the bottom. Screw there. Two. Here in this part as well. What we are going to do, we are just going to do this triangular rows. Here it shows the bead that is following. It would be made this way. Just use black and Van Dyke bomb. This screwdriver would be highlighted using what I did was I just used solo white color, and then I would give some border with this screw using Van Dyke brown and black. I also colored this screw with the Van Dyke combination of Van Dyke brown and yellow. And it would be made this way. The whole pattern would be like this. And this is the highlight to the screw part. Finally, if I would feel like to add a little darkness to the shadow part, just use some black and Van Dyke brown. In order to make it a little stand out, and some brush, light, very light, not intense, some light brush strokes here and there to show the color reflection, the shadows on the highlighted areas. And finally, our last move is going to be the same as we did in the plate earlier. We are going to give it a highlight with the prominence with the boundary or the border with black. Black color like this. But it shouldn't look this sharp like it is right now. It is very sharp. So in order to make it look subtle, what we'll do, we'll just clean the brush and we'll soak it, and then we are going to smudge this whole thing out like this. Unnecessary sharp lines you should avoid because they don't look good. And it's a bending cloth, so we should avoid it. So I guess that I'm done here with this portion that I thought and aimed to demonstrate, and the above the calligraphy plate. Rest is all the same. Let me get it repeated for you guys. So here in this first painting, what I did was I took the mean and then I drew the line, draw the perpendicular from the center, and we had I drew the border, and I painted this dark background with phthalo, combination of phthalo, green and black. Then I waited and let the color dry. Then what I did was I picked the white chalk or white pencil, charcoal pencil, and I drew the perpendicular from the center, dividing this whole architecture into two halves. Then what I did was I drew three specifically major portions for this painting specifically. I had to divide. I took this portion in the dimension of 6.1 or 6.4 inch, you can say 6.4 inch here, 6.04 inch here, and this portion was a relatively larger portion than these two. Then what I did, I drew 5 rods here. This was the center that we are following till the end, and beside it 2 here and 2 over there, and it's a symmetrical design, and whatever it's on the right hand, it's on the left hand and equal. So in order, with the help of the scale, I measured each and everything. I drew 5 rows here, 3 columns here, then this part of the portion of the architecture, and this calligraphy portion I drew. For rods that are behind this calligraphy, color palette would be a bit in the shadows. Shadows colors, for that we use yellow, Van Dyke brown, and largely black color. And for the lighter parts here, you can go for white and yellow, red yellow, orange yellow, and you can then do some shadows part with black, and like we have done it over here when the colors are totally dry. Same here, we did the same thing here. Now moving to this portion, drew some screws with just the white black color paint, and gave it a highlight using yellowish orange and yellow color, and with the little diluted brush, diluting it with water and a little pigment, we drew this down, this color, to just give the effect, shadowy effect. Then what we did next was this calligraphy portion. We have a quadratic, or you can say 4-chord calligraphy here. So I just demonstrated the first part of the calligraphy and this little design that is being followed here till the end. And we are using the same colors that we have used here, yellow, orange, same color palette, yellow, orange, mid yellow, burnt sienna. And masking this whole thing means it is very necessary for you, when you are done with the drawing, just mask this whole architectural painting with the white color. Because if you are going to directly apply any other color, it won't give its original richness, and its appearance won't look good. So you have to mask it with white first. You can use acrylic paint, white paint, or you can just simply use white acrylic paint and or marker. So I drew this calligraphy and I painted it with the colors that we are following. For this portion, I drew it. It was relatively a bigger portion than these two. What I did was I kept a distance between 2 rods. This distance was 1.5. The length was, I think, 6 and 6 and 6, and so on. And this was a separator, a bracket shaped architecture that was enjoining these 2 rods. And we are going to follow the same lines that we have drew here, the same rods that we have painted over here. These will go down, and these will make this sort of rods. And it also has rows. Like for example, these are the perpendiculars and these are the rows. So the rows will contain this bracket part, while the this perpendicular are the columns that will contain this longitudinal rod part with some design. Here in this part, this halo, I painted first with white, then because in order to mask obviously from the this black background, then I left some portions where directly light is reflecting as solo white color. I didn't mess with those portions with any other color. I gradually started with the dark base, which I chose to make it with the black color and Van Dyke brown. Then I transitioned my color palette to burnt sienna and burnt umber, and finally to orange and orange yellow, and going into the lightest tones, which is yellow and white. White is the final light highlighted tones. So this was the you can say hierarchy of the colors that I have used over here. Lastly, I did some highlight with the screws, and in order to give prominence to this portion and this portion of the plate, I use a very diluted pigment of black, and just wiped it with a piece of towel and then just do it. And in order to avoid the sharp lines, you just have to clean the brush and then move the brush forward, I mean outwardly, in order to avoid these sharp lines. So I hope that you have got what has been taught here in the session, and let's just close the session. If anyone will have questions, they can ask. If you have any question.